Most of you know me. I'm Sherry. I'm the owner of the Little Blue Montessori School, and I'm excited to have Mel here today. I first met her when my kids were going to Cedars Montessori School, where she used to teach, and she was an amazing guide there for many years, and now she's doing parent coaching. And she's amazing. I had her to my house to help me with Rolling in Sage because parenting's hard, and 10 out of 10 recommend.
Thank you.
She knows what's up. So without further ado, this is Mel.
Thank you. Hi. Guys. Okay, I gotta kind of figure out where to stand. I've not worked with a podium before, so it's kind of crazy. Okay. Well, yeah, but Sherry said I was a teacher for 8 years, and this is me and mine. I stepped into parenthood with Bentley there when she was 1.5 years old, shortly thereafter COVID happened. So I had been seeing her dad for about 8 months, and I lived in a small house with 3 other people. We were we need to quarantine, what do we do? So I just happened to move in pretty quick, which wasn't the plan, but that's what happened. So I found myself not at school, and Bentley not at school, and Michael working from home, all in a small space. And through that experience, I didn't have my students, but it was still the school year, and I had this 2-year-old child with me, and so it meant that we had to figure out some new routines and some different ways we could all be in the space together and really work together. And that kind of what brings me here about 5 years later, wanting to help families do the same thing, and how do we bring Montessori principles into our home. What I do is Montessori inspired, as I worked as a Montessori teacher for many years, but I also draw a lot from all different kinds of things. There's 3 little resources at the bottom of that paper that are 3 things that I just go back to all the time. So we'll talk a little bit about those today. Yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I want to do something first, actually. Just go ahead and put your hands on your legs. Just feel that for a second. And then take your thumb and your pointer finger and put it on your chin. Okay, so a few of you put it on your chin and some of you put it on your cheek like me. So that's the only time I'm going to mess with you tonight, really. And I just do that to just demonstrate how our children are looking at what we're doing rather than what we're saying. So our words matter some, but not all that much. I don't know y'all's kids. I know my kid. I know that she does pretty well with a conversation, but as soon as my tone or as soon as my words tip into the realm of a lecture, it's totally glazed over. So I can approach that part, and then once I see that happen, it's okay, we got to walk it back. We're not going to use so many words. We're just going to embody what we're trying to get our children to do. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, this is the only time I'm going to ask you to get up, but I am going to ask you to stand up in just a second and just buddy up with somebody, co-parent, person next to you, whatever. One of you is going to be person A, and the other is going to be person B. So go ahead and do that now, and I'll give you the rest of the instructions in just a second, if you can. I know some of you have infants, so feel free to sit down if you need to, but it'll be okay.
Oh, we're starting up.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah. Okay.
Sherry, you can do it with me if you want. You don't have to. Yeah. It'll be quick. Okay.
Alice is drink with bread.
Okay, guys, so person A, whoever's person A, you're going to stand so rigid, as rigid as you can from head to toe, just rigid all the way head to toe. Yeah, blanket. Okay, and person B, you're just going to take 2 gentle fingers and just give them a little, something like that. Okay. So not a touch and not a shove, but a good little Like you're trying to be moving. Okay. Okay, so now person A, loosen up. Be really, really loose. Okay, you're maybe not so stable, and we're gonna do the same thing.
Oh boy.
Notice in your body whether you're anticipating that push or what's kind of happening. Now, last time, person A is gonna stand in, like, if you're a yoga person, you know, tree pose. So you're really rooted through your legs down to the earth. You've got a really strong foundation here. And maybe up top you're moving with the breeze a little bit. You're ready. Okay, now switch. So now person B, let's do that exercise.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to do this without too much communication. Just when you see your person like ready to go, then we're gonna give them that.
Okay.
Right, now I'm gonna be really loose.
Now you're okay. Yeah. Okay. I was like, all right.
Okay, once you're done, you can sit down. No more of that tonight. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, some of you had that handout and probably read through it already, and I have three parenting styles up here right now. There is a fourth one, and that's like neglectful parenting, but I think if you guys are all here tonight, you are not that. I don't need to talk about that one. I want to know, does anybody, like, can you see the parallels between what we just did and this stuff? Does anybody have any comments on that or want to share like what came up for them while they were doing that exercise? I can tell you what happened in my house with my husband when we did this. So I anticipated that when I asked him to be really rigid that he would like kind of push back on me, and he didn't, but he like fell back and stumbled a little bit. When we got to the second thing where I asked him to be really loose and I went to do that, he like leaned into it, he anticipated it. And that was kind of funny to me. It wasn't what I expected. But it made me think about how when we are a permissive type of parent, and you might fall into one of these categories, you totally might not, or you might fall into one of these categories at a certain time, might not. Not to generalize somebody as a permissive parent, but I think in the ways that we get to be permissive, we start to then anticipate when our child is gonna push us back. And we're kind of bracing for that, even when we're being a permissive parent. We're kind of like, ugh. So that's kind of what he demonstrated to me. So what I'm going to talk about, what we're kind of going for, or what I learned as a Montessori teacher before I even knew about these parenting styles, is I realized that as a teacher in the classroom, I had to be authoritative. And you teachers know what I'm talking about. You can't be permissive in a classroom, and you cannot be an authoritarian in a classroom. You have to work with the children and collaborate with them, because there's 2 adults, 20 to 30 children. It's not going to work, right? Being punitive and rewards and punishments, those things don't work in a Montessori classroom. So we have to be really collaborative with our students. Then when I started learning about parenting styles, I thought, oh, if I can teach parents to work like Montessori teachers with just, 1 to, I don't know what the limit is of how many children, but like between 1 and 6 children, like that could work really well for them. So where does gentle parenting fit? Where does gentle parenting fit? I mean, I don't know, anybody have any thoughts about where gentle parenting might fit in these things?
Authoritative.
You think authoritative?
It sounds like it would be permissive to me.
Sure.
Gentle parenting.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's authoritative in the high work and high collaboration, but then I think the tactics you use are what make it gentle parenting.
Yeah.
Versus permissive.
Yeah, when I started building this talk, I kind of was sitting with the word gentle, and I'm like, where like somewhere in between permissive and authoritative, I guess. But I mean, you can still be gentle and be an authoritarian. I mean, I know a parent like that, that is like, gets to be authoritarian and punitive when it's too late. Like once the thing has already happened and now I've made the threat and now I have to make the punishment. But this parent that I know is also very warm and loving, like they love their children, but so I don't love like the term gentle parenting, and like what comes to mind to me is some things that we'll talk about kind of on the next slide, but like permissiveness, that's not gentle parenting. It's not really fair to your child either. Rewards and punishments, to me, don't fall under a category of gentle parenting, because rewards and punishments do put you on a not level, even playing field with your child. So I much prefer the term like respectful parenting, and those resources at the bottom of that sheet don't have the word gentle in them. They have the word discipline in them, and they have the word respectful in them, or conscious. So I much prefer that. So as I was building this talk, I kind of was thinking like, what's gentle parenting not? It's not passive, which I define as like giving free rein and lots of choice, which doesn't always happen in a Montessori class. There's some choice, but it's all freedom within limits. Avoiding conflicts by giving in, and just not having intentional expectations would be passive to me. It's not an absence of discipline, which I want to talk about what discipline means for a second too. This was something I learned in this book, which this lady, and I misspelled her name on that sheet, it's Nelsen. But she talks about how the word discipline is from the Latin root of disciplina, meaning instruction, training, to learn. It's teaching, not controlling. It's not punitive. So discipline is something that, you know, when I wake up in the morning and brush my teeth, like that's a disciplined practice. It's not punishment. Okay, and asking when we're really telling. So I think I do this too. I hear a lot of parents like, okay, we're gonna turn the TV off in 5 minutes, okay. Time to put your shoes on, okay. So like those words, you know, do you hear how they kind of invite, like, no? Or they're really asking or requesting when you are, you know, really wanting to say like, no, it's time now. So that can be hard to do. I mean, I do the same thing, and I think a lot of parents do that just to get the indication, like you just want some acknowledgement that your child heard you. I know that's what it is for me. If your child's like mine and she's in front of the TV, I mean, there's nothing getting past that, right? So even if I say, okay, like it's not happening. So what we really need to do in those moments, kind of similar to this is like what I do rather than what I say, is we really need to like hand contact, physical contact, and eye contact. Like we are blah, 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 blah. This is what's happening. Another thing that can be really good for that we'll talk more about too, is visual schedules, visual checklists. Even for, I'm making one right now for my friend who has an 18-month-old, where she's like, we need to make a schedule for bedtime. And it's just gonna be like right there on the wall, like dinner, brush teeth, pajamas, whatever, the whole routine. And what I find is great about that is it's not the adult telling the child, it's this, this, and this. It's the adult and the child going together. Let's look at, oh, we just had dinner. Okay, it's time for bath. Let's go to bath. Yeah, what I like about that is it is more collaborative. I illustrate that kind of thing. I'll show you in a minute. I made some stuff like that. So if you contact me on my website, just a little plug, you can get some visual schedules. Or will you do blank for me? The Montessori teachers here know that like having their child carry their stuff is like a really big deal, right? And especially now it's so cold, they have so much stuff and you want to help them. And I'm not saying don't help them, but I challenge you to reframe how you're helping them. I don't know if you can relate to ever asking, like, can you hold your water bottle for me? Can you hold your lunchbox for me? Whose lunchbox is it? Like, it's the child's lunchbox. Would you like my help carrying your lunchbox? Just like a little subtle shift in language that really helps with that. Providing too many choices or providing choices when there actually isn't one. She says, like, pretty point blank in here, only provide choices that you're okay with. Simple as that. Which sounds really easy to do. Sometimes it's not. I get it. Providing too many choices. So we all know that toddlers need to feel in control. And I think what tends to happen is we learn the trick of like, oh, choices. I gotta give them choices. And that works really well for a really long time. Do you wanna wear the blue shirt or the red shirt? You know, these pair of shoes or these pair of shoes, it's great. And then we get to an age where maybe there's a new sibling or we're turning 5 or like some shift is happening in your child and all of a sudden they want you to choose. And you're like, you've been choosing your own clothes for however many years. I know you can do it, just put the shirt on. Like, just pick one. And they're like, no, like they want your help, right? It's okay to help them. You don't have to provide choices when your child's asking for choices and just tell them what to do when they're asking for that too. It's just like the gauge, right? Does anybody have any thoughts on these or want to share? I want to leave some space to, like, if there's specific scenarios that are coming up or memories or thoughts or questions, like, feel free to raise your hand and we can, yeah.
I'll just say that I love the visual schedule. One of the things we've done, I do it with my 14-year-old too.
Yeah.
So, and it's
Yeah.
more for me than for my
It's amazing.
But there's like, they have them on Amazon actually. They have like where you write it in and then they just have to move the little.
I've seen those where it's like a little like toggle and they like check it off.
So it works because we have the same thing on our dog feeder. It said, did you feed the dog today? And it has like all the days and AM, PM.
Yeah.
So they're used to doing that on there. So we got the same kind of one from Amazon and it's been working well. And it's good for me because I don't always remember if they've done it or not. So.
Right, yeah, and then all the information's there and you're not having to tell them. Yeah. It's just there. Velcro, I've used like, okay, move it to this side when that task is done. So on that note, I'm wanting to reframe gentle parenting into respectful parenting. And that means respect for yourself and respect for the child. You can't, be an excellent parent for your child without being like an excellent self for yourself. Like you gotta put yourself, maybe not, I don't know if I wanna say first, as you baby havers have, but you gotta put yourself up there on the priority list of like, what am I really capable of doing today? Am I really gonna fight this battle today? Like, you guys know. Okay, so what is respectful? Lots that I can say here about this stuff. Clear is kind. I talked to a colleague the other day about like something that happened in my own home where my husband is working from home. He always works from home, and then our daughter is hanging out, and she says, like, Daddy, come play with me. And he says, in a minute, like I will in a minute, when I'm done with doing my thing. And she came in the room probably 6 times in the span of like 8 minutes. And at no point did he say, no, I cannot play with you right now. He kind of just kept dancing around like, yeah, I'll come after this, or go do that, and then I'll come, then I'll come play with you. And she's coming in the room, can you help me get this down? Like, are you almost done? Like, just constantly interrupting. And you can feel the frustration building with her and with him and with me, because I'm in the other room and I'm listening to all this happen. And I'm like biting my tongue because I can't be like parent coach all the time with my husband and his daughter. But I called him in and I just said, like, I think she needs to hear, like, she just like, the look on her face, like she was sad. She was sad. And he didn't like that. Like that had felt uncomfortable for her dad. And I could see that. And we both like, took a breath, and he's like, I don't like how that made her feel. And I'm saying, you can't make anybody feel anything. If she feels that way, that's okay. It's okay for her to feel sad that you're not available. But that is more kind than just saying, in a minute, and letting that frustration build for the both of them, because that just causes distrust and resentment, and just like, you're a child and you're annoying, like feeling like our children are annoying. That's kind of what was happening during when I was there with COVID. He's working from home, she's jumping on the couch, and dad's not available. So we have to figure out, like, okay, do we need to set a timer? She's getting to the age where she can tell time on a clock. Like, she knows what 10 minutes is. We have an Alexa, so we will say, like, set a timer for 10 minutes. And that's a collaboration between her and him with, okay, how long do you think it's going to take for this task to be done? Let's decide on an amount of time, and then we'll go from there. Also, what's kind of happening during that time is she's missing out on very precious independent play that is so important for children. It's so good for their brain to just be alone. It really is, or with a sibling or with a friend. Playing with adults is great for connection, but it doesn't do the same thing for the brain that independent play does. So that whole time she's checking in with him, that whole time, could be spent like getting her brain wrapped around something else. So empowerment, that's empowerment for you as an adult, like to be able to say no, set some limits when you need to. Natural and logical consequences. So, do you guys want to talk, do you guys know what a lot of natural consequences are? Some of you who are Montessori parents probably do. Maybe you've heard of this before? No. Okay, so natural consequences are going to be the consequences that the environment imposes on a person. So I'm carrying a glass of water, maybe with one hand, and I drop it and it spills. That's a natural consequence, and then I wipe it up. A natural consequence is not something that the adult puts on the child, period. Now this can get kind of tricky, and I'm not even the best at it, because I said before, if you do this, then we can't do that. If you blah, 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 then I will not take you to this place, right? And it can get a little sticky there, because then it's like, I have to really ask myself, am I imposing this on the child? And am I using my power to take away this privilege or not? What really is a natural consequence? It's the things that happen because of gravity, or the way your body feels. If you walk out the door without a coat after I asked you to get one, then you'll be cold. That's a natural consequence. A tricky one that kind of comes to mind too is the other day, her mom, I'm a step parent, so her mom calls us and says oh, she doesn't have her tennis shoes, where are her tennis shoes? And normally we would just be oh, we forgot them, we'll just bring them up. But Michael said to me, well, I did ask her 3 times to get her tennis shoes and she didn't get them. So then the natural consequence would be, you go to school in your cowboy boots, which is what she had, which I'm sure she was fine with. The other option there would be for her, we kind of made the expectation of well, you can call us and ask us to bring them to you. But we're not just gonna swoop in and solve that problem at this time. She's 7 years old. I think when she was 4, it was definitely more on us to make sure she had her stuff. Now that she's getting older, we need her to do that on her own a little bit more. Modeling emotional regulation. So that's for you, if that means you need to take some space. time out, so they talk about time out in here, about how there's like positive time outs. I prefer like if you need a little time out, you know, you need to tap out with your partner, like you do that and you model doing that. And you model like taking a deep breath. Inviting collaboration. So what's your idea to how to solve the problem? Again, I keep going back to this book, but there are like family meetings in this book, which are really awesome. Has anybody heard of those or used those ever? So a family meeting would be, it could happen like at dinner or after dinner, but there's some kind of ceremony to it. We light a candle and talk about good things that happened that day, things that made us sad that day, like whatever we want to connect on, and then we talk about, like we have an agenda. Like, okay, this week, you know, Bentley forgot her tennis shoes. Like, how are we gonna work together to make sure that she remembers them next time? Like, Bentley, what do you need? And bring some ideas to us on how to help you with that. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a couple tools, and I wanna just say, like, you know, feel free to raise your hand and we can talk about things, or if like a scenario comes up that we wanna unpack, we can totally do that. So I told the story about Bentley coming in the room. My colleague mentioned it, like they're like little messengers. So she's telling us, without telling us, like, I need a boundary here. I need to know what to do. I need to know when you're gonna be available, because I'm gonna keep trying, I'm gonna keep testing it. All right, and then creating and sticking to routines. So I have this hanging, we talked about that already, but I have this hanging by the front door. And this is a really good moment for if she's forgetting something, I just point to it. I don't even need to say anything, especially at like 7 a.m. She's kind of like really tired and in a daze anyway, and we just point. And that helps her remember. It's very nice to have. All right, and creating expectations around belonging. So even like having them carry their own stuff, it's such a mindset shift. Like, you know, we want to help them, and when they got a ton of stuff and they're toddling around, if they're not falling, if they're not crying, if they're like struggling and it's taking forever, like they're still doing it. And that is like, that's Montessori right there. That's like, okay, it's gonna take them a long time. But your teachers are like, yeah, keep going, just keep going. That's like, it's big work for them, so we can show them respect by not messing with that. Okay, I also wanna say, so I've got these things here that I made. There was a time where we went on this big road trip, and we went on a little road trip the weekend before, and Bentley is like all like rowdy. We're like, what's up? You forgot to pack my pillow. And I was like, okay, no, we're not doing that. So then I made this little thing for our big road trip coming up. This is not all the things she needs, but it's like the main highlights, and it's the things that I want her to be responsible for. So we went on this road trip, and every few days we were kind of moving around, and every few days, like, she had this, she colored it, you know, it's for fun. I hand it to her, she packs everything up. Now, we're gonna make sure she has all these things. I'm not gonna say that to her, and I'm probably not going to like verbally remind her, but I might just look at her list and be like, and then she'll go find those, and she'll have everything ready to go. So love having these. Same thing with like her Sunday checklist for when she comes back to our house from her mom's. She needs all these things, so she keeps these in her backpack, and she just like uses them. She doesn't use them so much anymore because now it's just like second nature, and it's like the expectation is there, and so she just does it. It's really nice to see. And then creating a space. So that means like, where's our place that we're gonna hang our backpack that's accessible? Where's our place we're gonna put our shoes that's accessible? And you can start this from infancy. And maybe they're not getting their stuff yet because they're not walking yet, but it's there, and it's gonna be there for when they're ready to use that space. We put, I'll tell you this for like parents of 3 to 6, but we put a mirror in Bentley's room, like right here, with a little shelf with like her hairbrush, and some hair ties. And that was like the biggest thing for her. And it was such a small thing. It's like some silly little mirror I got at Target for like $5 and a little shelf. But the impact that that had for her was like huge. I mean, I'm like getting chills thinking about it. I can just see like, you know, instead of coming in and like getting some kind of instruction from my husband and I in the mornings on the weekends, like I'll come out of the room at 8:30 or 9. She's just like in her mirror and brushing her hair. And it's so beautiful to see because do we have a step stool in the bathroom? Yeah, we do. Could she totally use that? Yeah, she could. But like having that space in her own room where she can just do that and like have her little vanity moment, it's just like so sweet. And it's just hers. So it was a big deal for her. And I do believe that these little changes that you make in your home can like speak volumes to your child about how you honor them in the home. So yeah, these are the resources. They're on the bottom of that paper. Conscious discipline. So I don't know if you guys know who Mr. Chaz is. He's on Instagram or like, I think he's on TikTok too. If you're on social media, I highly recommend you look into him. He's really funny. Positive discipline. So she's got like, this is the first 3 years, but like I also have in the Montessori classroom or just in the classroom or for the busy parent or for the single parent. So she's got a ton of titles. And then if you're a podcast person like me, this lady's awesome. You guys familiar with her? Yeah. She's great. I listen to her all the time. She does a really good job about talking about like reframing your child's behavior. So like how do we see it? How does it affect us? How does it relate to how we grew up? So she's a wonderful person to sit with on that. So yeah, that's all I got for you. Does anybody have like problems or things that they want to come up, like those things that they want to talk about? Yeah.
I have a question. On the choices part, I feel like I do that a lot with my daughter. We get a lot of screaming no.
Yeah.
So it's not that, you know, and it's like the red shirt or the blue shirt.
Yeah.
That I think Haley's helped us a lot with like language to try like, okay, if you don't choose,
I'll choose
you know,
for you.
I'll choose for you. Like we're doing that, but is there any way to just kind of help break that up other than that?
Yeah, what, like, I would ask, like, what time of day it is, what do you think she's needing in that moment? Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if it's in the morning before school, like, is different than, like, we're getting out of the bath and we need to get dressed. Because is there a time where she can just wear no shirt and it's like, we don't need to choose?
Yeah, like I think in those scenarios where like that is always a choice, right? Like, hey, like, okay, like she doesn't want to wear pants to sleep. Okay, you don't have to wear your pajama pants to sleep. Totally cool.
Yeah.
And it really is. It's not even time because I feel like.
And it probably has nothing to do with the shirt or the pants or anything.
Right. It's almost like in any scenario she doesn't want to do the thing.
Yeah.
So she doesn't.
She's exercising her power.
Yes.
That's exactly what she's doing. And
we support that.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. She's exercising her power. And like that's that reframe.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, we can't control that. Like they have to exercise their power at that age. Or how old's your child?
Almost 3.
Yeah. That's the time.
Oh, it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah. And she'll get out of it. I don't think I have the what.
I feel like the dad a lot of times is like, if we don't set some boundaries with this child who keeps exercising her power, we're gonna have like this spoiled adult. She's not gonna listen to us ever. Is that the case? We'll just have to be clear for the dads. Like,
yeah. So there's
it's because they're 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like they grow out of that phase.
Yeah, and I think when that's happening, kind of examining in yourself, like, what am I worried about here? Am I worried about them being defiant? Am I worried about like, you know, maybe I don't like that they're screaming no at me. Like it feels like they aren't ever gonna listen to me and like we're having this horrible relationship. So Janet Landry and Mr. Chaz have a podcast that they have a couple episodes together, but one that I'm thinking of where they talk about the different ways to reframe a scenario like that. And I don't think I have the answer that you want, because I'm telling you, it's like gonna keep happening, because it's not really about that item, right? It's about like what kind of connection they're getting from you maybe when that happens. You know, are you talking back? Like, are you in a conversation? Are you getting into it with them? So that can happen, you know, and I think it's like kind of not giving a lot of attention to that and just being like, you know what, they're in their phase. Now it's different like before school, or it's like we gotta go somewhere. I get that. Like that's tough. And that might just be where you don't even say anything. You just are like, what work, like shirts on, love you. Like that was hard. Like, and maybe she's kicking and screaming and like,
Yes.
I know it's hard. And maybe you don't say that, but you're like saying it with your body, like.
And we know, like, in the morning, a lot of time, like, I can even ask her, like, are you sad because you're not going to get to spend time with mommy? And, like, that can sometimes, like, help flip her out of it, of, like, yeah, that's it. And so there's, like, that connect moment.
Yeah.
I was just, you know, sometimes it's not that. So I think trying to figure out maybe what it is.
And you have no idea what it is for them, right? Like, there's all kinds of, I mean, they've only been on this earth for like less than 3 years. There's a lot going on. Like, the weather changes every day. What the hell is that about? Like, but yeah, it's stuff like that.
My friend texted me this morning and she's like, was Sage awful when she was 3? Because her daughter just turned 3. And I was like, I feel like 3 is just about like emotionally regulating yourself as a parent and then just being like, I love you, you wild creature. I don't know. You just have to get through 3.
Yeah.
That's what I told her. Like, you're gonna make it. It's hard though.
We do a lot of like, Piper, I need you to take a breath. Chloe, I need to take a breath. Like, you know, like, I also.
And that kind of language when you're not in it is like the best. Like when you're just exercising that, like when she's not, like, maybe when it's not time to go to school, you know, or maybe like planning some outfits before bed, or like in this really cuddly moment, like pre-planning, I guess. Yeah.
Jess, I can't tell you how many times, I don't mean which of my daughters, but one that you know, would not get dressed before school. Like that was her thing. She went to Montessori school, and her teacher was finally like, wear whatever she's in then. Like, don't. And I, like, for like a month straight, she came in underwear. Yeah. And then when she got to school, she got dressed totally fine. And that, it was me. It was my fault.
It's not like, it won't even be the clothes, right? It's
Yeah.
be like anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the most important.
Right, yeah. So I was like, okay, well then you're gonna go naked.
No, it's not just school, even though it's
Yeah, so it was, I think she would eat breakfast. She packed it up. And it was so nice because I didn't have to like deal with the stress. And then eventually she was like over it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, here we are. So, yeah.
I find letting go of the need for my child to eat breakfast. I mean, she didn't eat breakfast this morning. She was like, and it was fine. I mean, I just told myself, like, packed her a really good lunch. And she was offered, but you can't really force, you know, this stuff. But did you have a question?
So my husband and I are expecting our first in June, and one of my best friends is leaning very hard into gentle parenting right now. Her daughter is almost 9, and she was born at a little over 24 weeks, so born very, very premature. And they came to visit us in the spring of last year, and this was like the first time we really saw them, like just the mother, just the daughter, outside of their home, with this like pure gentle parenting. And it was just like she gave her daughter almost all the decisions, like when do you want to eat, what do you want to eat. And I feel like for like 4 days our life was completely dictated by this little person. And there was a lot of meltdowns, like tons of meltdowns, like 5 to 8 a day, like screaming on the ground, like, I don't want to eat now I want mac and cheese. Like, and it was like, is this a big problem or a small problem? Can we solve the problem? And the child is just wilding out at this point.
Yeah.
So I feel like us observing gentle parenting up close in such close quarters, we're like, is gentle parenting for us? Like, all the decisions lie with the child. Like, are we just not of that like realm? But I don't know, I guess, is there parents that take it too far where they give like all of the decision making to the child and the child gets like a little bit of decision fatigue and they're just like, I can't make as many decisions as an adult, like I'm not 8, you know? And then it's a terrible experience for all the adults
Yeah,
around.
it's not gentle parenting.
It was
permissive.
really,
Permissive.
Yeah,
it was
permissive.
very crazy. We were like, is this gentle parenting? Like, I don't know if we could do this.
Well, imagine being 9 years old and being in charge of all the adults around you, and how scary that is.
Yeah, and we
How
were like
terrifying.
eating lunch at 3 p.m. Like, it was just very chaotic, and she was hungry and she was tired, and
Because
we were
how is that-
starving, and we were like, what is going on with this?
Yeah. How is that child going to trust that adult now to
Yeah.
be in control and to be the safe person?
Yeah.
Because they've been calling all the shots since they were
Oh,
an
she's
infant.
kind of become a little bit of a tyrant.
Sure, yeah,
Like, she ran the show on 3 adults for 4 days.
yeah.
And
And that's
we were just like, this
hard
isn't
to
our
undo.
child, we can't say anything. But we need to learn more about gentle parenting because that was crazy.
Yeah.
Is eating like an issue for her?
She's actually a very good eater. She's eats all different types of things, but I think it was more of like determining when she's past the point of like hangry. It was just
Okay.
like, we'll eat whenever you want to eat.
Like
We will eat
waking's not a
whatever.
problem or something.
No.
Okay.
It was like, we'll eat when you want to eat, baby. We'll
Mhm.
go to this place, like wherever you want to go, we will do.
Like preventing being angry.
Yeah, like
basically,
we
not
had
like,
snacks and
preventing
stuff,
it.
but it was just
Yeah.
like, there was like a moment, like probably 3 days in, where we're at Laura. She's like, okay, we came here because you wanted to come get this type of food. What do you want to eat? And the child just like couldn't make a decision. And like the
Yeah.
mom just starts like bursting out in tears at the table. And the daughter's like playing with something and she's like, I just need to feed my child, but she can't figure out what she wants. I'm like, I don't know, maybe just pick it out for her. I'm not sure. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's too many decisions for her. Like,
Yeah.
she had 0 boundaries, so I wasn't sure. I was like, that was my first
Yeah.
real deep introduction to gentle parenting. So I was just like, I don't know if that's our parenting style, but maybe that's not what gentle parenting is.
Yeah, again, that's permissive.
It was completely like,
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
like why
But it was
I hired
difficult.
Mel, because I was accidentally doing that with Roland.
oh,
So like I feel like you, as a first-time parent,
yeah.
you can
She
like
only had one.
you can accidental your way into like being too permissive,
Yeah.
and then the child's like walking all over you, and then it takes somebody to break you out of it and be like, I'm watching you doing this.
Yeah,
How about try this?
yeah.
Enter
And she's
Mel.
such a great kid. I mean, she's traveling, so it's not her home environment, but it's also just like, how do you know when is too many decisions for a child?
Yeah.
You know, in
Yeah.
a certain day or a certain age group or something before you're like,
Yeah.
okay, the parent, like, she clearly needs the parent to make the decisions.
They need
now.
more structure and more order. Like,
I think it's difficult because the mother and father are not on the same page. So like, if she's acting like this, the dad's just like, here, mom, you deal with this.
mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
a little bit of like, I want my husband and I to be on the same page with like boundaries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what came to mind when I was thinking of gentle parenting, was that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, and that's why I was like, I don't want to like, sell y'all on gentle parenting. When
Yeah.
and if you Google like gentle parenting or like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I like TikTok, confession, but like there's a lot of that on there where it's like, like that.
Do people confuse permissive parenting and gentle parenting
Yes.
a lot?
Yeah, I think that's the misconception. I think people write off gentle parenting because it's
Yeah.
like, it, to some people
My husband
doesn't
kind of did,
mean.
because he was like, we don't want that.
Right, no, yeah, that's why I'm like, let's reframe it to respectful parenting and none of these just things have the word gentle in them. I mean, you can be gentle. We get to gentle through respectful.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to touch on too is like gentle parenting doesn't always mean a gentle voice.
Yeah.
You just gotta tell them sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I hear parents like ask their child or tell their child something like with this like flinch, like they're scared of their child, and their kids pick up on that. And that doesn't feel good for them. No one wants to be, especially a little child doesn't want their person that they look to for guidance to be afraid of them.
What is the like gentle or respectful parenting version of like a timeout? Like if the child needs to be put in their bedroom for like quiet time for maybe 15 minutes, like is that accepted, or is that like negative, or is that just like let's de-stimulate the situation?
So like Janet Lansbury would say, and Melissa says, that when your child's like in a state, I mean, it depends on what kind of state they're in,
Yeah.
but if they're in like an activated state, like leaving them in that might not be the best thing unless you need that space. So maybe don't sequester them in their bedroom, but like take your space and you go shut the door for 10 minutes if you need to, as long as you know they're safe.
Yeah.
So yeah, safety, like, you know, that's why we do want to make spaces in our homes that are like yes spaces where we're not gonna.
Yeah.
But timeouts for like a very young child, like what's the goal there? You know, are we thinking like, okay, you're gonna sit here and think about what you did? They're not gonna do that. They don't have that kind of brain.
Yeah.
So it's not an effective strategy for the child. It might be an effective strategy for you.
Depends though, like
Yeah.
we had an example with Roland.
We did,
Where you can use that example.
Okay, yeah. He, I mean, he sat upstairs. I think he needed that. I think I told you that, right?
It's their personality type. Like, do you have an introvert or an extrovert? An introvert needs space, needs time, needs quiet.
And Roland's a little bit older,
Yeah.
too.
He's 6 at the time she was helping. Yeah.
And I would say that I would see, and I think the way you framed it was like, I mean, you were very sweet about it, and it was like, this is a gift for you. Like, this time out of, I don't know if we could even change the language from out to like time in a quiet space. Like,
Yeah.
I think the way that went down is, you know, you were like on his level. He was just on the couch, I think. And you know, you like, I think you were like petting his hair, and you were like, just take a rest. Like, this is.
Yes, he did something that wasn't safe,
Yeah.
and we put him on the couch, and we were like, I was like, that wasn't safe.
And I don't think he was really upset.
You really
He was-
scared me. You really scared Kelly, our au pair, and like, I think you need to take some space. And I don't know exactly what was said, but we sat, and he just sat on the couch, and we went about
And he looked
other
at a
things we
book.
were doing, and he just was quiet on the couch, and he just needed like, he probably didn't feel safe either, the thing that he did. So he needed some time to sit by himself and like re-regulate. Where that wouldn't work for Sage because she's an extrovert. So like if we gave her space, she would feel like she was getting like shunned and rejected because she needs people.
Yeah.
But
And that didn't come off to me as like a punitive action either.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, you need this gift of space, and like, you know, Sherry knows, you know your kids, like, you know what they need. Yeah.
I have like, I guess a couple thoughts, but so I've worked in a lot of different types of schools, including like, I'm gonna give you an example of like 2 very different versions, but like KIPP schools, right, KIPP charter, and Montessori schools as well. And one thing that like kept coming up as I was watching your presentation is KIPP has this philosophy, even though like on the surface, right, they're very divergent, or like one of the things they teach teachers is to be warm and demanding. So like I've been coaching my husband a lot because he is like the king of giving options to my kids, or like, I guess questions like, oh, you know, do you want to eat this? Do you want to take a bath now? Do you want to do this? Like, it's like he's very like and he's extremely involved. Like he's almost like, he honestly is like more involved than me. I just have a job that like is a little bit 24/7. But he is, so it's not that he's like trying to push anything on my plate or anything. It's just like, that's his natural instinct, is to be kind of more on the warm side. And that's how he would be with his friends or literally anyone.
Sure.
And so I've been like coaching him to be like warm and demanding, which I think like fits really well as like a kind of motto with like what you're kind of explaining here.
Sure.
And it just I think it helps your brain to kind of like select the appropriate language to use when you're addressing your child. If you're thinking about, I'm being warm, but I'm also being demanding at the same time. So that's just like a thought that might help other parents here.
What age did you feel like the warm and demanding was more beneficial?
Okay, so I feel like 2 and up. Yeah, so I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I will say that like I had a lot of really strong ideas of like, I was like, oh my God, I've been trained on how to be a parent literally for like 15 years professionally, right? In so many different levels. I have like every credential, everything. But my child actually, and this is why I was asking you, my first child is a 27-weeker, and so he actually does have extreme issues with weight gain that do impact his health in a lot of ways, and so it has caused us to verge into like a different style of parenting that we would ever want for ourselves.
I have preeclampsia, so we might give
Right.
birth as early as 2 weeks from now, you
just
know?
check, sure, you'll give me my number if you do. But yeah, it's like, so that's something that we're like struggling with pulling back on, because so much of the focus was just like how to get him to like get any calories into him for the first few years of life. But at the same time, I want to prevent having a situation like your friends have, where, you know, my child is, you know, thinking that they can run the show and everything. So and also I don't want it to influence how we're raising my younger son, right, who's about to be 2, in terms of what he's seeing and what he thinks is like the authority dynamics in the household. So yeah, that's why this was like a really super helpful like reset and refresher for me, because I kind of ended up going on a different pathway during the first early years of parenting than I would have definitely chosen for myself on a number of levels, but certainly in terms of like my approach to like discipline, particularly around eating, which bleeds into other areas, because then the kids get a certain impression of what the dynamics are, and it's not the impression I want him to have, right? So yeah, just those are my, I guess, thoughts.
Yeah, I like the thought of warm but demanding, and not like we're making demands, but we're saying, like, we're speaking from a place of authority in the house, and that is so needed. How old are your children? Oh, 2 and 4?
4 and about to turn 2 in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, like the older they get, you can collaborate with them more and more and more. And I mean, is your 4-year-old like aware of like, you know, we need to make sure you're getting enough calories, or?
Yes, he is aware, but he's like, he definitely is aware, but he's like aware to the extent where he'll be like, okay, well, like, I'll eat another chicken nugget if I can watch TV for 2 more minutes. And like, so like, he's like very, very interested in negotiation.
Yeah.
And that's where we're like, the point where we're like, okay, we need to pull back. And I'm like, my husband's there cycle as well. I'm like, Mike, you need to stop asking them, like, do they want to do X, Y, Z? Like,
because now he's learned how to.
I'm like,
He's
it's
like,
not,
go shoot us.
sometimes it's not an option. Like,
Authoritative.
They're so smart. They're so smart.
Yeah, they'll learn you.
Just
as much as you're learning them.
Conversation in the household. Like, it's like,
you're
no, there's no like gray area. Like,
There's, I mean, we have a really good relationship with my stepdaughter's other family, so her mom and her husband. But they do things a little differently than us. And there are like, well, this is a consequence. And I mean, she'll call me and be like, well, don't I need to follow through on a consequence? And I'm like, do you want to have that relationship with your child that you're doling out consequences? Or, you know, do you want to collaborate? I mean, there was a moment she's a really good mom. She's great. She was like, I'm going to take Bentley shopping after school or after church. And they go shopping, you know, she's like, okay, so we're on the way to go shopping, and I told Bentley that she has to read 10 minutes of her book first. And Bentley said, well, I just don't want to go shopping. So should I just bring her over to y'all's and not take her shopping? Or should I, like, you know, really stick with the consequence? Or should I, you know, and I'm like, she kind of outsmarted you on that one. Like, you did the bait and switch. And like, you can't do that. But anyway, like, I think there was a moment we went to the park, and she, you know, her dad's like, time to go. And she's like, no way, like, you can't get a consequence on me. And, and he's like, oh, like, we're doing this. Like, okay. Like, but we don't really have, like, consequences in our house. It's kind of just like, we did have a conversation, you know, similar to the conversation we've had, where it's like, you know, the next time I want to take you to the park, I got to know that when it's time to go, we go, or we can't go to the park. And that's, to me, walks the fine line of natural consequence, just because, like, I'm not going to take a child that is going to run away from me to the park, period, just because it's not safe. So it's not like we're coming home and she's getting punished, or no TV because you ran away from me at the park. Like, that's not logical. But yeah. Anyway. Cool, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.